What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if we'll ever find out who the Master of Masters is. Now, this is not necessarily the video where we talk about who it is, okay? Like, actually digging down into it. I could make that. I could try to make that. Look, Kingdom Hearts is difficult. Kingdom Hearts is difficult for everybody, except for the very, very few gifted people, I think, that are 100% knowledgeable on, like, everything. I try to be, as we've talked about, right? I think I do know my stuff in a larger scope more than a lot of people, but I would not say, compared to, the diehards online, I'm probably in the lower percent of that. But this is a more general discussion that kind of goes to where Kingdom Hearts is going in the future, and really that, because the thing is this, okay? They've kept it going, and they've introduced new elements through all the entries, okay? They've wrapped up certain things, right? So, like the Xehanort, I think they've even called it, right? Like the Xehanort saga is over. Now, is it? I think it is. I honestly think it is. I don't think they'll find a way to bring him back within the next, 2-3 games. Although I probably just jinxed it because Nomura probably has a plan. But with the Master of Masters, it becomes a situation with Tetsuya Nomura and with this franchise in general where it's like, do they actually have an end goal? Okay, do they have like a place where they want to end this? Because while we did get things, even like getting certain characters who they really are, like in Kingdom Hearts 3, right? Like Xigbar, right? They're doing stuff. They're absolutely doing stuff. Introducing a brand new fictional world inside of the fictional world that already is Kingdom Hearts, and, in Verum Rex and with Yozora and with all that stuff. I mean, they're making moves. I just feel like, and this is a question I want to ask to you guys as well, if they do it, and if it's not all that great, we'd be disappointed, right? I know it's not necessarily a question, but it's like, do you think in a weird way, again, this is a question, do you think in a weird way Nomura is not doing it on purpose because nothing can really live up to what has been set up? I may get into controversial territory here, but with like Kingdom Hearts 3, I liked a lot of parts of that game. We've talked about how, the game, I think, was overall a pretty big disappointment. And kind of a disappointment because of how they handled certain characters. Now, you have the characters that were, like, actually there, like Lee and Kairi and stuff like that. Even, you could maybe argue the Birth by Sleep cast. But then or how they ended the Xehanort thing. But then it's like, okay, well, like, new thing, how Xion, like, came about, or how, like, the replica stuff, all actually makes sense. Because they've given us, and why am I saying this? Well, again, while I may not be 100% knowledgeable on all this stuff, I know, they've given us pieces of it, pieces of the story throughout all these entries, right? Obviously, Xion with 358/2, and there was a lot of information in that game. And Dream Drop Distance and Birth by Sleep and all this stuff, they each give us a little bit of things. But when it comes time to really deliver, and I guess this is where it's the controversial thing, when it comes time to truly deliver, do they do it? I would almost argue no. The only reason I say that is because Kingdom Hearts 3 is kind of the chance where they could have, and I think that they didn't. Now, you could say, well, it's maybe the only chance because a lot of these games have been leading up to something bigger. And Kingdom Hearts 3 was kind of looked at as that something bigger. And they did have big stuff. They absolutely had big stuff. And they expanded the lore 10 times, probably 1,000 times, probably 1,000,000 times, okay? They expanded it. And they set paths to go for the future, which Remind then added to, which Melody of Memory, the ending with Kairi, that added to. And so, there is, I would say, and by the way, I'm not saying Nomura doesn't have a plan. I have no idea how he's done it. But clearly, either he's made it work, like literally just winging it year after year after year, or truly, with Kingdom Hearts 1, he did have this plan. I find that really hard to believe that he planned all of it, like as detailed, which I don't think he did. I think he had a rough outline of where he wanted to go, and then he kind of filled it in where he felt was necessary, right, as the years went on. But that leads to the Master of Masters, where it's like this, I would call him Guy, but I mean, at this point, we don't even know, right? This character is so, obviously Sora and the Disney worlds, and you could even argue Xehanort, right? Or you go through the games, Kairi's a big character. I mean, there's so many big characters in Kingdom Hearts, okay? But the Master of Masters is this, like, character that's so mysterious, that's, like, eluded everybody. No, I mean, you can have guesses. We can all have guesses. I really like the idea that somehow it's Sora because of his mannerisms, right? How he, like, moves his hips and where he puts his hand and, like, how he bends his body. I mean, it is a lot like Sora. It's 1,000% like Sora, okay? So I wouldn't be shocked if it's somehow, I don't even know how that would all work, but if somehow that connected to Sora, which maybe it does, and maybe there's history there, with his heart or with who he is as like kind of the chosen one with the Keyblade, right? Maybe it does make sense and makes it all the way back to the Master of Masters. But okay, even if it's Sora, I mean, that's going to disappoint some people, and then you've lost that mystery. You know what I mean? And that's kind of why I ask it, where it's like, I think people want to know, besides what's in the black box, which actually we made a video of back when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. What's in the box? What's in it? We talked about it. A lot of people have a lot of real, whether it's like his eye or whether it's an actual, or whether it's like some sort of heart from, whatever it is, whatever theory you want to subscribe to. And there are many of them. That's a big one. I think that's a really, really big one. But the other one, I would say, now that the Xehanort stuff is largely over, and if you think about it too, where we're at with Kingdom Hearts is more like just getting Sora back. Like, let's try and make everything normal again. And maybe that's on purpose, by the way, because they can make everything normal again, and then you can introduce the next, with Xigbar and all of the, the ancient Keyblade wielders, right? You can introduce that back in where that kind of just rocks all of these worlds, right? Rocks all these characters' lives, which I do probably think is the path. And that does lead to the Master of Masters. I mean, he's been around for a very, very long time, through smaller games, through bigger games. Obviously, even appeared in like Kingdom Hearts Remind, right? We got to see young Xehanort talking to him. So it's like, he's a big deal. And people want to know who he is. It's probably top of a lot of people's wish list for Kingdom Hearts. But then the question is, well, two things. Number one, well, not really questions, but the result of it is two things. Number one, you let out the biggest mystery that this game, I think, has. There's 1,000 mysteries this game has, but that's like the biggest one. Now, from a story point of view, you would eventually you would like to be told, you know what I mean? That's what's, I don't like to pick on him. I don't like to pick on Kingdom Hearts because you guys should know by now, I'm a really big fan. Okay, and I follow this franchise for as long as I've really played video games. Kingdom Hearts was one of my very first video games I ever played. I couldn't beat it. I had to play it years later to beat it because I was so young, but, I love these games. So, I'm picking on it kind of like with love. I mean, these games are convoluted disasters. Not necessarily disasters. I mean, there is like a clear, there's not a clear thread. It's hard to compliment this game because I come up with these things. But no, I mean, there is a story. Nomura has a plan. It's miraculous and actually beautiful in a way, the way he's kind of pulled it off. But I mean, let's not kid ourselves. The story is convoluted, right? Like, less than 1% of the people that has played a Kingdom Hearts game probably understands the story. Okay, we can all kind of agree on that. So you would like, from a story point of view, to be told who the Master of Masters is, because that's going to be a big thing. That's where these games are probably going to lead to eventually, right? So that would be, or Nomura retires and we'll never know who the man. Maybe it's him. Maybe he's the Master of Masters, right? In fact, I've seen people actually joke about that in the past. I wouldn't rule that out either. Okay, put Sora and him. Those are the two people that I would put on my list right now. But you know what I mean? Like, eventually you're going to need to know, I would say, that information. But when you do that, that's a huge mystery. That's kind of the biggest mystery that everything has been leading to, even though, again, it hasn't exactly been shown to in the forefront of all these, the main installment games. But in reality, again, you look at the mobile stuff, you look at a lot of the other stuff, the Master Masters is kind of like the most important character out of all of them, right? Like, it's literally what started kind of everything. So there's so much importance there that it's like, you probably have to, but then again, you let the cat out of the bag, and then people would get disappointed. The theory, the thing too that keeps him so special, which I agree with this, the thing that keeps the Master Master so special is there are so many theories of who he is, and we don't really know. Nobody knows, okay? Anybody that tells you that they know, they don't actually know. We can have good ideas, but we don't know. Only Nomura knows, okay? So once that happens, you lose a lot of that. And I'm not saying like we learned that from Kingdom Hearts 3, but I think if anything, it was shown the most, where it's like the game sold more than any other Kingdom Hearts game, ever. And a lot of people liked it. A lot of the people that just play games liked it. I would say, though, and even from like our videos, I don't necessarily want to use our videos as like the only evidence, because it kind of is, but if I had to use it, we made a video talking about the disappointing ending and how they did this game and all, and I would say a good amount of people, the majority in those videos, and they got tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of views, I would say that speaks some sort of volumes, right? Again, it doesn't speak for everybody, and I'm not saying I speak for you, but there were a lot of people, I think, disappointed with more of the hardcore story choices, whether it was leaving things on the table, whether it was, again, making things too convoluted, whether it was lying to us and telling us that you would show something and then you didn't, or doing some characters dirty or not showing characters enough. You know what I mean? So, like, they did a lot of things that upset people in Kingdom Hearts 3. Maybe not everything upset, one person, but different people had different things they picked on with that game. So you look at that, I would say, as the best example of when it came time to do their Avengers Endgame, right? Do the biggest things that they had. They made it more confusing, and they made a lot of people upset with their decisions, with their story and character-based decisions. The Masters is the biggest one left, and so if you mess that, I think what they did with Xigbar was phenomenal, though. I will say that kind of reveal, the idea of what they were doing. The writing was on the wall. I think that we knew he was going to be one of the ancient masters, right? That was actually something we had predicted going into that game, and it came out to be true. But that was good, but the rest of it, a lot of it, I would say, wasn't. So you go to this. I don't know. I think from a storyteller point of view, you'd probably want to eventually say it because you'd want to tell your story, you want to get it out there. But from like a marketing or from like a reading the room point of view, it's like, is it actually a good idea? Is it actually a good idea to tell us who it is? Because you may make people very, very upset. You will crush people's theories and the kind of anticipation and the hype for who this character could be. But then it's like, well, if you keep us waiting for 30 more years, okay, I don't know how many people are still going to be interested, right? It's a double-edged sword, much like everything Kingdom Hearts really is. So let me know, guys, in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think we'll ever find out who the Master of Masters is? What are your thoughts? Who do you think it is? I could do a video on it myself. I think we did when Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. I don't remember fully. I can check it, and we can make another video if you guys want me to. Let me know your thoughts. Again, as always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on so you know when all these videos go up. I will definitely keep making more Kingdom Hearts videos. I'm back in that groove, and I like to, when I'm in this groove, I like to make quite a bit of these videos. So I'll be making more, and you guys know that have been around for a while. Anytime anything Kingdom Hearts related comes out, I try to cover it as best I can. So if you guys like that, again, subscribe, bell icon. If you guys want to follow me on Twitter, Podcast Now 15 is my Twitter handle. I have a Discord server as well as a second channel, Podcast Now Plus. If you guys want to check out any of those, they're all in the description, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.